Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for game number 3 between Last and Life here at MLG Winter Championships quarterfinals. The winner of this goes on to face the winner of MC Bomber. That is currently 0-0.
Yes, and that's going on at that red stream. You guys should check it out. Any responsible citizen of the internet would have both streams open. I think that's reasonable to ask.
Yeah, I know. And even if you only have one monitor and it's 13 inches, you don't want to minimize or anything. Alt-Tab still works.
Yep.
On outdated PCs.
Yep, I know that. I'm a one-monitor guy still. Are you? I think I'm alone.
Wow.
I know. I have the choice for 2 as well, but I'm too old and crockety to do that.
I mean, I have a 21-inch widescreen, a 21-inch widescreen, and then a 36-inch television.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all hooked up to one computer.
You're screened out, man.
I'm all the screens, like seriously. And you know what I do with? I just open up streams.
Yeah. Well,
one on the left, one on the right, and then I just play in the middle. It's great.
I don't know what to do with my life when I'm not streaming or watching streams.
Well, I try to think of some joke because a player in the game is life, but
oh, jeez,
I couldn't do it. I'll do my best later, Jeff.
Just make your last joke about it. Oh, God.
Spawning in the top right corner from Team Startail, the Zerg in red. It is Life.
And his adversary. Oh, wow. Now they clap for Life. All right. Well, in the lower left-hand side from Team STX Soul, it is Last.
Clap, 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 clap.
Oh, wow. Double clap. That's good.
Look at that.
I mean, walk me through your thoughts of that last game. What did Life do differently to have that win result as opposed to loss screen? What was the big thing?
You know, I think the biggest thing was the well-executed counterattacks with Zerglings.
Yeah.
And also, I think Life noticed in game 1, wow, this guy can split really well. I don't think I can do this Ling Baneling stuff, because in the other games, even against Pult, Life suicided up Zerglings, picked off the mines, and then Ling Baneling annihilated Pult's front. Apparently, Pult is not at the splitting level of Last. I mean, Last just blew my mind there.
I'm thoroughly impressed. Yeah.
Apparently blew Life's mind as well, so. Oh my God, an arbitrary woman. Okay, and now we're back down into last base, and it looks like he's going to be going again for some sort of. Wait, no.
No proxy. It's going to be Command Center first. And Life marches on the exact same way he has. And, you know, I was saying this in the cast with DJ Wheat. I would watch Rain for PVT, Innovation for TVP, and Life, I would say, for ZVT. These guys seem to play a pretty formulaic, straight up, this is how I do it. I don't have a whole lot of diversity. But kind of the strength of that, too, is that while there's not a lot of diversity typically, when they decide to bust out the diversity, and like let's say Life says, yeah, I play Ling Baneling, here come Roach Baneling, you know, something weird like that, they have a lot more power to it because they're known to do one thing and then they switch it up. I mean, I don't think that'll necessarily play in here, but it's just kind of interesting to note, I suppose.
I mean, similarly, I actually think in every Terran versus Zerg series we've seen, the Terran has gone Reaper Heli in game 1, Reaper Heli in game 2, and Command Center first in game 3.
Oh,
I think that has actually happened every single ZVT series except for perhaps one. I mean, this is really consistent best of X logic. You make your opponent really aware of how much damage you can do early on, put them on the defensive footing, and then expand.
Yeah, go on the other end of the spectrum here with the Command Center first. But I'll be interested to see. We do have a gas that is being mined from our Terran player Last. Does he use that to... Well, I think he has to go factory, right? He has to go factory, get Hellions out. Is that what you have to do from here?
I mean, I guess, you know, normally you'd say, well, you have to get Hellions. You must exert some sort of map control. You can't do it with just Marines. The distances are too great. But in all honesty, I do think that it's going to be a little bit difficult to. No, I took my headphones off because the producer was talking to me, and I'm not going to be able to focus listening to someone and talking at the same time. But, you know,
and that makes no sense to people on the stream because they can't hear it. But
yeah, I know. It's just there's some sort of poltergeist messing with our stream.
We got
but you know, in this position, I actually think that transitioning into something like straight Marine Widow Mine, staying defensive, and then just beginning the scary push sooner is a very viable option.
I think you're absolutely right. I hate to ask you so many questions because it sounds like, I don't know. What is this SCV doing? What is it? A proxy hatchery? Is it scouting for? An overlord? Or is he going to go overlord hunting? I thought that was kind of interesting.
I mean, I actually think that Last is just trying to return this SCV back home in the safest path possible.
Oh, because the speedlings. Okay.
Yeah,
I can see that.
sort of that just in case. I mean, right around the 5:45 mark is often when quick speeds can finish up, so that's kind of when you get cautious.
All right. For some reason, that was just frying my brain. Now, we do have the third hatch approaching about 20-25%, and as you said, this is what Life does. He goes 3 hatch, got the speedlings to be able to handle the Reapers, but also the potential Hellions in kind. And speaking of, nope, we're actually going to have mines right off that factory. Day 9, you once again called it. Third command center goes down inside the main as well. And I mean, this is just what Last does. We'll see 3 barracks here in a second and cancel on a tech lab.
Classic Life nerfs. Getting to them. We'll go Hellions right off the bat. Double engineering bay, starting them very early. About 7:05 to 7:25 is around the range that we would consider early. This is before 7 minutes. Both E-bays are going down. So there's a timing push at 14 minutes that many Terrans like to go for, and that'll actually be able to start at around 13:30. So Life will not have any hive tech at all to deal with it. It's going to have to be just Ling, Baneling, counterattack defense.
Okay. I mean, he seems to be pretty at home with that. He's been doing that in games number 1 and 2.
Yeah, I said it like it's a bad thing. Life's probably just going to overrun everything with just Lings.
Oh, no, I'm stuck on Lings. Exactly what I wanted. Hellions moving out here. They're going to be joined by a 3rd and 4th here in just a moment. Squad.
That voice is hilarious.
I don't know. I use it too much, too. I use it for everything. Like, it's my mom's voice. I don't know.
It's when you do the impersonation of your mother, you use that voice. She doesn't come at, Jeffrey,
whoa, what did I say?
Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
I love you, Jeffrey.
Exactly. Alien's going to go ahead and give chase back to these Zerglings. They're going to run back home. Life did miss out on that Baneling speed this game before, by the way. He ends up winning the game anyways, but it got scary there for a moment. When you're getting pushed, you want to have that Baneling speed. So the reason we point that out is because there again is the Baneling nest. And in game number 1, Life absolutely went for the Baneling speed because it was a part of his strategy. He tried to cut into those units. That's when we saw Last micro his Marines beautifully. I don't anticipate Life will make the mistake of either trying to be too aggressive with them, but also at the same mark forgetting the upgrade altogether.
Looks like Last is starting to power up. He is going for the mass reactor play. Just going to be flooding out Marines. We actually saw Flash against Rhett go for the 13-minute max.
Those girls walked by, winked at me, and then threw flips up on the stage and pointed at it and said, like, here you go. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm breaking you away from the cast. But that was weird.
In fact, there are the flips girls who are hurling flips onto stage and
they're
anyone.
Flipping at us, yeah. I really like the dropping of the creep, obviously, to delay this 3rd. Not a big deal. It's obviously going to get moved away, but look at the cost it's going to take. These Marines are going to get trapped by these speedlings. Last going to try to do what he can to save them, and actually beautiful decision to get behind that gas. Allows him to keep those Marines alive. Hellions moving over to actually punish. Doesn't work out. Expansion delayed, sure, but not so much so. And I like what Life's doing, though, because a worse Terran there would have lost a pack of Marines.
Yeah. And I mean, if you actually go to the Units Lost tab, this is where you can be impressed by both players a lot. Look at it. They've both lost almost nothing. Last now is going to be on the retreat. He's going to have to hook around these corners. Ugh, I don't like that choice to take that shot there. Looks like one Hellion will lose his life, but again, almost nothing lost by either side. And where's 2-2? Last. Oh, God. Last.
Did he do it again?
He whiffed his timing. I mean, 13:30 was going to be the time, but he is not upgraded. He's going to have to be waiting now until 14. Every second he waits is bad.
Well, there's an army complete next to him. He's just not doing it, I guess. He's just kind of off focusing on other things. But he's got an army at the top of the map. Again, Life with fantastic positioning of his overlords. He's aware of this. He knows this is over here. He's going to have to get the pickup. Stims to fight for a second. Wow. I don't know. That choice, I guess we could just kind of cleanly say that was not good. He should have picked that up the second he saw those Lings. These are 1-1 Lings, as Life has had for every ZVT he's ever played in his entire life.
Yeah, they generally just spawn with 1-1.
That's what they do, man.
Just to get it out of the way.
Yeah. And, he gets the Raptor Lings. That was like the gift to him after he won the GSL. That's just what happens. Infestation Pit does go down. So in the games before this, we saw Mutas. We are seeing Mutas here as well. In fact, they're making their way into the main base, doing some light harass here. Last did not do a good enough job occupying their attention in the middle of the map, and he's paying for it right now. I think Last is kind of crumbling. I mean, the Last we saw in game number 1 is not the one we're seeing in game number 3 so far. He seems to be tripping up.
Well, there's this weird thing every time you watch Last play where he just seems to be losing the whole game and then shows
that's actually true.
phenomenal control in one battle, and it's, well, I guess he won. So that's actually very exciting for the health of Heart of the Swarm, that you can see the styles of players, their strengths allow them to win in very different ways. In Wings of Liberty, a lot of people just kind of had to do the same thing. There were not these nice skill micro plays able to have you climb back in.
You're absolutely right. Not as many mines out here as well, worth noting. Last in games number 1 and 2, love to have a baker's dozen of those Widow mines out on the map, kind of causing fear for the movement of the Mutalisk, but also allowing him to retreat to safe zones, if you will. If there's pursuing Lings or Mutalisk, they were going to take damage and potentially tremendous amounts of damage. But here we see that's not going to be the case, at least for now. If you look at that production tab, there are mines starting to come out now, so Last will go ahead and build up to that game. But Life has done just such a good job of having the map control. He's pushed down to his 4th base. It's gone nearly uncontested. The creep spread has saturated his half the map. I mean, Life looks really good at this point in time.
Yeah, Life has 110 Lings, 15 Mutalisks. 2-2 not quite done yet. I mean, imagine if he was able to begin moving out about a full minute ago. That is basically what Last abandoned. Marauders sacrificing themselves by moving a little bit too far forward. One medevac falls down. I mean, Life is phenomenal keeping these Mutalisks alive.
Yes.
With that Hive done now, what will Life go for? It looks like starting with the Zergling upgrades, Adrenal Glands soon to follow.
I actually got sidetracked because I did not. I'm just gonna straight up admit this to you. I don't know what Drilling Claws are.
Drilling Claws, first of all, looks exactly like an alligator clip.
That is awesome.
And
Yes.
it drops the Widowmine burrow from 3 seconds to 1 second, so they burrow almost immediately. Banelings try to roll into the expansion and don't connect. Nice defense by Last.
Sick carry on the cast, Day 9, because I straight up had no idea what that was, and I was like, my brain was latched onto it. Anyways, back to the game. A couple of mine detonations do go down in the middle of the map, but you'll notice in the health bars of those Zerg units, not a real big deal. The Mutalisk count still hovering around 14, so it looks like one Mutalisk was picked off. But again, the Mutalisk count is not the thing of old where it's like, I have 35 Mutalisk, you cannot fight this. It's just 15, which say, if you try to drop me, you're going to lose that medevac. And if you isolate, some Marauders or medevacs ahead of yourself, they're going to die. And that's really all they're doing as they carry themselves in the late game.
Scans from Last starting to step out, and now he's getting into gear. We're starting to see the drop down in the bottom right. He will force this engagement. What a nice connection with that big shot from the Thor. The mines up in front. Oh, the Zerglings. Zerglings take huge hits. An enormous pack of Zerglings get killed off almost immediately.
These splits are incredible. There was a Ling counter in the background. If you look at that third for the Terran play, you'll notice a lot of dinked and donked. Pause. I guess we'll just go ahead and take a second to talk about this. But the Ling counter, okay, so Last is also a learning robot because in the past, that Ling counter has stopped him from having an economy behind these kind of pushes. But in this game, we can see he's actually doing what Terrans kind of learned to do at the end of Wings Liberty, which is you gotta depot up your bases. There can't be Ling pass, and if there's not, and if your economy is untouched, you can resupply these pushes. Because it looks weird when Terran fight. They lose their army, but they lose it cost effectively, and they show up with a bigger one every time. That's what's happening here.
Well, looks like Life not yet resumed the game, not yet actually said anything. Let's talk a little bit about the current status. Greater Spire is done. 3-3 and Adrenal Glands, about half finished. Last only just now starting his 3-3 upgrades. In that unit count, we see 13 Mutas, 3 Infestors, and 45 Lings, down from the 100 of prior times. The medevac drop down in the bottom right is actually not really in an amazing position. Took some serious hits from that Spore Crawler. So I honestly think that Last is in a pretty reasonable position.
I think he's in a great position. He definitely took the better end of that fight in the middle of the map. I mean, if you look at this mini-map, we're just looking at the players right now, so I guess that's that. But what we're looking at right now is Last splitting. Okay, so we're getting updates all over the place. That's why I'm chopping up my voice. Sorry, guys. The update right now is that he's having a lag issue. He might be dropping out of the game, so we might have to resume for replay. But right now he's actually still in the game. It's just the computer having a tough time. But just to finish my thought off real quick, Last, again, implementing Marauders at an earlier time, not because he's anticipating Ultras or because he's facing Roaches, but because he wants to tank and split the damage between those Banelings. And I think that's an amazing, I mean, it's something we've seen before, so I'm not going to try to say he's reinventing the wheel, but I think it's awesome what he's doing here.
Well, I mean, it actually extends really nicely into the Widowmine play because traditional Marine Marauder medevac against Ling Baneling Muta, The concept is we get the Marauders in the front to tank the Banelings, and the Marines clean up anything that remains with their insane damage output. But the problem was the Zerglings could easily just surround the Marauders and kill those off, and then surround the Marines, and then the Banelings would roll on in. But now with the Widow Mines, you have the Marauders in the front line, the Zerglings try to sweep in and surround, and then a single blast picks off 30, 40 Zerglings.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the Marauders are still alive, still able to tank the Banelings, and then you have a lot of Marines and no Zerglings. So it's an extremely nice way to deal with this sort of classic Ling-Baneling meta play.
That's actually a really good point, too, because the Marauders, I mean, like you said, they actually, the Zerglings will just bunch up around the Marauders, or at least around them, even if they're trying to run past. And in doing that, that makes for those money shots from those Widow Mines that annoyingly have really good aim, by the way. Have you ever noticed that? I know I've complained about this a bunch, but those Widow Mines, they don't necessarily hit the first thing, they hit the best thing, I feel like.
Yeah,
trolly that way.
There's that weird delay at the same time where you see Life just like walking right in and backing out and walking in and shooting it and backing out, and the Mine's like, and I'm gonna, nope.
Like we might be ready to go.
He said
so
go,
get back
go.
in the game.
Life is counting down. He's counting down.
He's eager to do it.
Production, here we go. Last. Trying to reposition himself. All right.
Life pause.
False start, 15-yard penalty.
I like that. It's a joke that I get. I appreciate that.
Sports.
Another pause here, so we're going to have some tech difficulties here, guys. But again, last out on the map, he's got about a 20, no, not a 20, but sub-20 supply advantage. His army is still intact, but he's fighting on creep, another thing worth noting as well. The creep spread has completely covered Life's half of the map, so last is going to have to do battle on that. And with those Lings, creep's a big deal, especially Banelings, actually.
I'm actually going to poke into the structures tab a little bit to take a look at what Last is cranking out of. It's only 8 barracks, a kind of traditionally low number for this stage in the game. It would be closer to 11 for maximum Marine capacity. 2 factories, though, are one of the big reasons the money's being eaten up. But I think, interestingly, the biggest expenditure of money is the starport producing medevacs 2 at a time non-stop. In a sort of traditional maxed army push, or the traditional 2-2 push, it tends to be around 4 medevacs.
Yeah.
Just enough to heal up, but not enough to drop. But here we have these massive, massive numbers of medevacs healing absolutely everything. Again, boosting the strength of those Marauders that are now protected by the Widow Mines.
It's actually a really good point, too, because it used to be that you used Fungal to go ahead and...
Looks like we will be doing a little bit of a resume from replay. We're going to get it set up. Don't go anywhere, because that would be stupid for us to not show the rest of the match. Stay tuned after this break.